Hey, archivists. For this season's last episode, I'd like to read you one of my Substack essays about a very famous Durhamite. You might know his work from his collaboration with Marvin Gaye, its reference in Sinners, and some other big pop culture moments. Ernie Barnes is a iconic artist who was born and raised here, and while many are familiar with his painting, The Sugar Shack, not everyone knows its history. So I'm going to shed some light on it, and if you like this format of reading essays or video, let me know and I can explore doing it more. So thank you all for listening this year and being a part of my community. So have a good one. This is Sinners in the Sugar Shack, a history of the Sugar Shack painting and how it's appeared in pop culture. This essay was originally published by me in August 16th of 2025. Now, I am going to be sharing my screen with you so that you can see the associated images, and I'll probably add some additional commentary to add more color to the essay for those listening that may have already read it. So, here it is. It is 2019. It is 11:30 p.m. and I am in a dirty Logan Square bar with a stage. I am two-stepping in the dark to the funkiest band in Chicago at the time while sipping a well vodka cran and singing along to a set list I've heard multiple times before. I jokingly consider myself the sole groupie of a band that my friend was in at the time, and that was my Sugar Shack. I don't have a ton of photos from this time, but candidly, I didn't look that hard because the Sugar Shack painting captures it perfectly. Have you seen this painting before? While it may be familiar, you probably don't know its fascinating history tying together characters like Franklin D. Roosevelt, Marvin Gaye, Eddie Murphy, and Ryan Coogler. In this essay, I will share a brief history of the artist, how this painting came to be, and show how it continues to inspire modern creatives today. Let's get into it. Here is a young Ernie Barnes. He was born in 1938 and raised in Durham, North Carolina. When not sneaking into the Durham Armory to catch glimpses of grown folks dancing, he could be found sketching in his journal or practicing for one of his high school sports. Ernie was a real-life Troy Bolton. Okay, what time is it? It's summertime. And he went to what's now known as North Carolina Central University for art on a full athletic scholarship, kickstarting his professional football career. And while he played for a variety of American Football League teams, most interestingly, his final team, the New York Jets, hired him simply to paint. The owner of the team at the time, Sonny Warblin, told him, "You have more value to the country as an artist than a football player." Okay? Now imagine you're making a football player's salary to paint. I think that's pretty dope. And he did do a lot of sports and football themed paintings, and that was potentially during this time. So let's talk about the history of the Sugar Shack painting itself. Years after his football retirement in 1965, Ernie Barnes would go on to paint the original Sugar Shack. This is such an iconic painting, and it might have given you the Mandela effect on accident. Here's why. There are two versions of this painting. Follow closely with me here, because different sources say different things, and I had to work hard to find a clear story, right? So the first version of this painting, painted in 1971, originally had 4 banners hanging from the ceiling, kind of similar to the one you saw earlier in the essay. The original piece was loaned to Marvin Gaye, and he loved the painting so much that I imagine he said, "I need that," or even more fitting, "I want you." So in that little space next to the WMPC banner, he added a banner promoting Marvin Gaye and his album so that it could be used for the cover of "I Want You." And here it is. The second version was impressively almost an exact duplication of the original painting minus the Marvin Gaye banner. According to the inscription on the painting, he was commissioned to recreate it and completed the painting in September 1976. Now, if you were to compare the I Want You version with the previous version that was shown and will come up again in this essay, the attention to detail is amazing. I mean, you see the same bottle on the floor, you've got the security guard sitting just in the same closeness to the people dancing next to him. You've got to compare the details, and they're super spot on. But here's the tea about it. I don't think it's common knowledge that there are two versions of this painting. When the 1976 version sold at over $15 million to Bill Perkins, that obviously sent waves throughout the art world. But soon after, Eddie Murphy smugly outed himself as the original owner of the original piece. He paid a comparably paltry $50,000 for it from Marvin Gaye's estate in the 80s, compared to its original value of over $15 million. Other previous owners have been generous enough to loan it to museums, as it was recently on display at the Mint Museum in Charlotte through the end of June. But I just know that Eddie Murphy's 1971 version is proudly hanging in his home. And I actually watched Eddie Murphy's recent documentary just in hopes of catching a glimpse of this painting. And I'm not sure that I will, because upon finding this image, which is seemingly in someone's museum, I think that this is I know that this is Eddie Murphy's version, but I believe that Eddie might also be loaning out the painting as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's still available to be seen by the public. But when we look at this image, where is this, right? What is the location of the Sugar Shack? Is it a real place? And the answer is yes. The painting itself has so many fascinating small details, and it takes place in the Durham Armory. The New Deal era building that was originally headquarters for the local National Guard. And when I say the New Deal, this is like the 1930s, potentially commissioned by FDR and Franklin D. Roosevelt. And it would eventually become a venue housing events like the Juke Jam you see in the painting. An archivist from Preservation Durham shares, during the 1950s and 60s, the armory was used for a variety of functions, including dances. These dances would be segregated in time, meaning there would be black nights and white nights, and older white folks in their 70s had told this person about getting to just sit in the balcony during the black nights because they wanted to hear the music. One of these nights was the inspiration for Ernie Barnes' famous The Sugar Shack. And so looking at the painting again, I'm curious if those folks in the rafters are lighter toned. Are they supposed to be white people visiting the Black Knights? Or, was that just how they were painted? Was it more of a creative choice to just make everyone black? But either way, the painting's relationship to this building was incredible to learn because it's still functioning as an event venue. I recently made a point to visit for an artist market, and I couldn't help but reflect on the 100 years of history I was standing inside of. Ernie Barnes had too stood in that room and stood out looking into the window. And those experiences would inspire creatives for years to come. So where does the Sugar Shack pop up in pop culture? We've got Camp Lo. Uptown Saturday Night was the debut album of a 90s hip-hop group, Camp Lo. Those of us who were born around the year it came out may not be familiar with the album by name, but we've definitely heard its influences across modern music by the way they fused hip-hop, soul, and jazz. The album cover is clearly an homage to the painting. Next, we've got Sinners. That was my personal 2025 movie of the year, and it had layer upon layer of meaning. Just search Sinners here on Substack, and you'll find dozens of essays attempting to peel them all back. But not only was the movie itself amazing, but as a marketer by trade, I thought the promotion was elite. The way they tapped into Black culture and our shared memories. They made a movie poster inspired by the Sugar Shack, and I felt the whole performance of I Lied to You brought this painting to life as well. Speaking of bringing paintings to life, Luke James does so literally with his music video for Make Love to Me. This one came to me courtesy of Adjoa A after I made a note about this on Substack, and it was really awesome to discover this music video that shows Luke James walking through the scene of the painting until he becomes one of the characters himself, the performer rocking the mic and commanding the dance floor. From the frozen dancers with their hands up to the banners in the air, with one saying, "I want you," directly calling out Marvin Gaye, Luke and his team did an amazing job bringing this to life. Lastly, Supreme. This summer, the hypebeast brand Supreme and Ernie Barnes' estate collaborated on a clothing collection featuring the Sugar Shack. Interestingly, this is the first time his work has ever been officially licensed to be on clothing. So if you've got something else with this painting on it, it's bootleg. But Supreme is bringing this painting to a new generation, a people desperately in need of dancing, according to Tyler, the Creator. And I hope it inspires someone to bust out the move that the brother in the white top is doing. I feel like this central character has been a consistent theme across all of the different versions we've seen. And with this collaboration being just the first time that the painting has been licensed for such a collaboration, I suspect that we'll see a lot more like this, the same way we see Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat all over everything, from, teapots to t-shirts and skateboard decks. If this collaboration has gone well in the estate's eyes, I can see this painting re-entering the public zeitgeist by being included in more and more everyday items. So, my final thoughts. These are just examples that scratch the surface of the cultural impact that the Sugar Shack has had. And seeing how it's been reimagined across mediums takes me back to the memory I shared at the top of this essay. Maybe you weren't in Chicago dive bars grooving to undeniable bass lines. Maybe your Sugar Shack lives in a college friend's basement, a queer club downtown, your auntie's kitchen on a Sunday, or wherever people gathered and sweat out the week beneath colored lights. What Ernie Barnes captured in his painting was a feeling of freedom through dance that has transcended generations. And that's why the Sugar Shack still ripples through album covers, music videos, movie posters, and the stitched threads of streetwear today. So here's your invitation. Find your Sugar Shack. Dance like your liberation depends on it. And when the lights come up, let the art of that moment live on, whether in a photo, a story, or the way your body still remembers the beat. Let it be sweet like sugar. So thank you so much for rocking with me. I've had some technical difficulties, which is why I'm in a different location now. But this was really fun to create and record. So if you like this rereading of my essays, let me know in my comments or DMs. And I hope you all have an amazing, beautiful, transformative, incredible 2026. So let it be sweet like sugar.